When I'm working with districts, in addition to obviously teaching them fading and shaping procedures, reinforcement of replacement behaviors, skill development and acquisition, on top of all of that, I try to give the staff some general tips when they're working in the classroom, things that I almost think of as a broad stroke for the majority of the learner that I'm working with. So this is not a catch-all. This is not meant to be, just do this and nothing else. But these are some general supports or tips that I give the staff. And you may want to incorporate those with your districts as well. So one of the first things that I do is teach them to just take a beat, to just wait a moment. So if we've already worked on shaping procedures and we're already working on fading and we have the teacher trying to take the majority of the lead and we're trying to fade out that staff, I try to teach staff to just take a beat. It's okay that we allow the learner to respond or to make a decision on what's next. How are they going to get the teacher's attention? How are they going to advocate for themselves? So really teaching staff to not jump in too quick on our learners at the first sign of distress or the first sign that there might be a hiccup is a valuable tool, and it's something that I constantly find that I am reinforcing and supporting staff to do. Another thing would be, checking in for comprehension. So I do have a lot of learners where the staff needs to be present during the educational piece because they are reinforcing, restating, and checking in for comprehension with their learner. So that learner doesn't have behavioral support in place, but they do need the academic support. So that staff person might be fading in other areas like going to the gym, in art, on the playground, during recess, hallway. So they may be able to fade in a lot of other aspects of this child's educational career, but need to be present when they are being provided instruction. So being able to conduct quick comprehension checks with the student might be relative to that learner. So how does that go about? The learner might have a system where the first person who's doing the comprehension check is the teacher. So they might give out the general direction, might give out, something that's going on in math or social studies, and then immediately check in with our learner for a comprehension check, and then pull back. And then as the learner is working, that aide then comes in to support the teacher by doing check-ins with that student. So that is a huge piece for some of the staff that I work with, being able to have that dance with the teacher and just provide those comprehension check-ins and provide the support as needed and try and pull out as quickly as possible, leading the teacher to be the lead in the class. Giving a heads up is also very effective. And then we do this in a variety of ways. So if the teacher is providing a lesson and they may be calling on our learner or our learner's turn is coming up, then can we give the child a heads up, cue them in some way so that they really have the opportunity to focus and be productive and attentive? Is that going to be the aide temporarily? Are we going to fade that to the teacher? Are we going to have that child working in a buddy system primarily so that the two children are going to be responsible for answering, and then we teach that skill set as well? So how do we give the heads up so that our learner is starting to get cues from the environment and not just from that one-to-one staff within the room? And the other thing that I find I discuss a lot with staff is the use of nonverbal cueing. So there seems to be sometimes a very heavy dependency on repeating and being very verbal with our learners. It can be distracting to the other kids within the room, but we also know that the verbal cues are difficult to fade. So what can we do in lieu of that to help reduce dependency and to create some other type of system? So for one of my students, the teacher comes by and just does a touch to the table, the desk. So that cues the child to refocus instead of calling the child's name out. For that same learner, actually, when they're receiving their packets for homework, clipped to a packet is just a pre-printed Post-it of sorts, where it gives the instructions so that they don't have to sit and explain it again to the child after the general directions. That's already clipped to their work, and that goes straight into their folder, and then they have that at the ready when they get home. So try to think, in terms of what type of supports and systems can go in place that help to pull back the dependency on adults. It may not mean that you can eradicate, an adult's presence all of the time, but if we can increase autonomy and increase the understanding of how to use these other systems, that's a lifelong skill. Think about yourself when you're using your phone, you might use the notes section. I know my shopping list is in there and I'm constantly checking off things and checking things completed. And those are systems that we have in place that we have self-management for. So how can we start to build these things within our own learners? Those are the tips that I try to generally stay with when I am conducting trainings in school settings.